This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. Well, right on schedule, Winnipeg's new bus network has arrived. The city officially launching its new network on Sunday, but for many, today was the first time testing it out. The CBC's Cameron McLean went out this morning to talk to riders about how it's going.
You might have noticed some new numbers on the front of buses this morning. Catherine Morgan rode the bus from South St. Vital to Assiniboine Park on Sunday and says the trip there went well.
Unfortunately, coming home, the third bus was, when I checked, I was just going to get off the bus and I checked the time, it said it will not be here for 64 minutes. And so clearly I had missed that connection.
On Monday, Morgan decided to try the bus again, taking it from Pembina Highway near Bison Drive over to St. Mary's and Britannica Road. So, how was it?
It was good. It was exactly as planned, right? And so, yeah, on time.
Winnipeg Transit rolled out the new network on Sunday. Mayor Scott Gillingham acknowledged it will take some adjustment.
My route used to be, I get on the bus near my house, single bus would take me to the office at City Hall. Now I have to transfer, but there's going to be more frequent buses, so the service is going to be much more frequent for all riders.
We spoke to several transit riders this morning to get a sense of how things are going. Suffice to say, reviews of the new network are mixed.
It doesn't work well for me. It's adding 20 minutes onto my trek to work in the morning and coming home, which is already an hour and 15 minutes before this change.
It was due for a change, I guess, and here we are, And, people don't really like change, but I guess we're going to have to suffer with it for a while.
Over at the Riverside Lions Senior Centre, residents Heather Scott and Lana Ponting say their bus stop has been moved about 300 metres down to Bellevaux Road, which they say is a difficult walk for seniors.
That causes a big problem because I'm an epileptic and I don't know when I have seizures.
They also wonder what is going to happen with their old bus shelter, which is embedded in their fence. Winnipeg Transit says they will submit yearly service plans to the city with recommendations for changes to routes, schedules, and operating hours. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Well, she was excited to celebrate her achievements with her family, but now a Manitoba woman says it's hard to look at her college certificate. This after comments Manitoba's accessibility minister made about sharing the stage with a sign language interpreter. The CBC's Gavin Axelrod shows us the impact those words have had on members of the province's deaf community, and a warning you might find some of the language in this story offensive and upsetting.
A drum circle at an event honoring Indigenous women who are graduating from a variety of schools, put on by NDP Cabinet Minister Nahanni Fontaine. A day Deborah Osher hoped to look back on with pride. We spoke to Osher and her daughter through an ASL interpreter.
I feel like my certificate is completely ruined. Like, I got it from this event. Now when I look at it, it's associated with these negative memories, not with my accomplishment.
That's because of these comments from Fontaine, Manitoba's accessibility minister, caught on camera last week by APTN.
It was okay. I was thrown off. It wasn't great, but because the woman, she shouldn't have been on the stage. I couldn't see her on the side, and all I could see her was her. Yeah, I was like, why did I on the stage? Jesus, I'm like, you need to know.
The comments that she made, that was just like a knife right in the back.
Osher also says after her speech, she saw Fontaine go up to the interpreter and pointed to an area off the stage. The Canadian Hearing Society says interpreters should sit or stand next to the speaker and across from the person accessing ASL interpretation. Osher's daughter says the interpreter was moved in front of their table. Were you able to see them all to be able to understand what they were saying?
Well, no, it was like you had to look at one or the other. So yes, we could see them, but we couldn't know what they were saying from seeing the interpreter at the same time. So like, you have to watch the interpreter and then stop looking at her to look over at what the person talking and back and forth.
Fontaine apologized in a statement Friday and said she offered the interpreter a personal apology. In another statement Sunday, she said she's heard from deaf Manitobans and community members about the harm her comments caused, is committed to learning from the experience, and would be more mindful to ensure her actions always reflect respect, allyship, and inclusion. Fontaine also said in an interview Monday she asked the interpreter to move because she thought it would provide better visibility, and that ASL interpreters are usually on stage. Her office is also getting in touch with Osher.
I recognize, how my frustration and the comments that I make cause harm. Of course I recognize that. And I feel horrible.
Osher says she hopes Fontaine learns from her mistakes, whether she keeps the accessibility role in her portfolio or not. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A Winnipeg pharmacist has been convicted of fraud and disciplined by the profession's regulator for taking drugs from the pharmacy for his own use. Scott Putz admitted to the province's College of Pharmacists that he'd taken medications from the pharmacy for years due to substance abuse issues. When the information came to light in 2021, the college suspended the pharmacist's license. He was suspended for 18 months and now has to regularly undergo drug and alcohol screening. He also pleaded guilty to a criminal charge of fraud. CBC News reached out to the pharmacist, but he declined to comment. The College of Pharmacists said the case highlights addiction issues in the pharmacy profession. A spokesperson says pharmacists who may be struggling with addiction are encouraged to reach out to the college for support. Well, we are coming up on the first Canada Day since the United States started its trade war with our country. That might have some feeling a little bit more patriotic this year, but a new poll shows more than 1 in 5 Manitobans would vote to separate from Canada if there was a referendum on the province's independence. The CBC's Kristen Annabelle has more.
The Probe research poll asked 1,000 Manitobans if a referendum was held, would they vote to stay in Canada or would they vote to separate?
And while the majority said they'd want to remain, the numbers on the Leave side show that a sentiment of prairie separatism exists in Manitoba. 70% of those polled said they would stay, and of that, 60% say they would definitely vote to remain in the country. But 22% would vote to leave, with 14% saying they would definitely vote to separate. The poll found those voting to separate were more likely to be men, people from rural or northern Manitoba, and those who tend to vote right of centre. Mary Agnes Welch of Probe Research said the pro-separation side was much larger than they expected.
When you've got 1 in 5 Manitobans at least open to the idea, that is especially after this elbows up, we're all Canadian, we're all in this together, that vibe has really not trickled down to a lot of those Manitobans.
Talks of the Western provinces separating from Canada grew following the victory of the Liberals and Mark Carney in April. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith introduced legislation to make it easier to trigger a referendum. Meanwhile, Donald Trump and his calls to make Canada the 51st state sparked discussion across the country about the nation's need for independence. McGregor resident Darwin Dreger would vote to leave Canada and join with other Western provinces.
Western Canada is majority blue collar, right? Like that's what drives our economy. Oil, gas, farming, right? And Eastern Canada takes advantage of that.
The poll also shows that Manitobans' sense of pride in Canada is strong but declining. 60% said they felt more proud to be Canadian than they did last year. But that's a decrease from March, where 77% said they were more proud.
As for Canada Day celebrations, 60% of those polled said they were going to make more of an effort to mark the occasion. Kristen Annabelle, CBC News, Winnipeg.
An 11-year-old boy is dead after an off-road vehicle rolled over in northern Manitoba. RCMP say it happened Thursday on the Marcel-Colombe First Nation. Police say the 11-year-old died at the scene while the 13-year-old driver suffered minor injuries. Speed is believed to have been a factor in the crash. Officers also say neither boy had been wearing a helmet. Fire ripped through a Winnipeg business over the weekend that has been open for more than 70 years. Firefighters were called to West Rock Battery and Auto Supply on Logan Avenue around 1:30 Sunday morning. It took crews around 4 hours to get the fire under control. It left the business with extensive damage. There is no word yet on a cause. That was one of 3 fires that crews battled overnight Saturday into Sunday. All right, well, looking at Fort Gibraltar on another decent day across much of southern Manitoba, but we have seen some thunderstorms popping up through the afternoon. Let's get a first check on our forecast with weather specialist Darius Madalvi.
Thanks, Riley. A few things we're watching across the province right now. The first is all that lightning up in the north. Now, of course, we don't have radar coverage here, but I can tell you some of these cells that are moving through are coming with a fair amount of precipitation, so a little bit of good news there. Not too worried about new fire starts, largely because Manitoba is, of all the places, the entire western half of the country, Manitoba is the place where we have the lowest fire danger. And that's the only time to talk about fire danger, because I know today is mostly about the Canada Day forecast, people looking forward to being outside tomorrow. And for much of Manitoba, it is a great day to spend your time in the outdoors. It's going to be sunny, high temperatures across much of the region, although not the entire province. Areas in the north might be just a touch below seasonal. But as you can see, after some showers move through in parts of the north, besides the showers moving through, things are looking beautiful. Today, our temperatures have been above seasonal, especially in more southern parts of the province. As we look into the next few days, we're going to see those temperatures climb, which we'll talk more about in a little while.
Thanks, Darius. Still ahead, the last service for a West End church marks a new beginning for seniors. More on the plan for the building when we come back. Well, as people gear up for Canada Day tomorrow, multiple events and activities are planned in Winnipeg and right across the province for those who want to get out and celebrate. Felicia Adam joins us from the Forks to tell us about some of the events that are happening in the city. Felicia.
Thanks, Riley. Yeah, and Canada will be celebrating its 158th birthday tomorrow. If you're in Winnipeg, if you're in the city, there is so much to do, including right here at the Forks from 9 a.m. to 6. It will be a fun-filled day for the entire family. There's going to be music, there's going to be food trucks, basketball tournaments, dance battles, skateboarding demonstrations. It will be a full day. And an important part of the celebrations is there are many nations, one heartbeat programming. It celebrates treaty regions throughout the province through ceremony, traditional foods, and teachings. Organizers here at the Forks say it's an important step towards reconciliation.
Really important for us to work with some creative directors who have that lens on it as they're planning so that we can be really thoughtful to all people and all cultures as well. So we're really excited about the 11 days of programming that they put together for the Many Nations, One Heartbeat. It is really important for us to reflect on our past and reconciliation as we continue to move forward and learn, reflect, and also still celebrate.
And for some people, the day comes with mixed emotions. While some are celebrating, others are opting not to.
It's a colonial holiday. It's not something that I recognize. What we're doing is we're reclaiming. Oh yeah, we're reclaiming our traditional practices.
So we're at a very pivotal part of history of our country, and I think we have to recognize the past in order to move forward. So I think we still have a long way to go in reconciliation, and Canada Day is just another day for us to embrace all Canadians.
For others, celebrating is another way of showing their patriotism, and that's something they're definitely going to be doing tomorrow, something made more important than ever compared to last year.
We got to show that we're proud to be Canadians and not live under a jurisdiction of, the Americans. No, we're proud to be Canadian. We should be showing it off.
It is very important now, especially with what we're thinking as Canadians, because we should have independence. So I think it's nice to celebrate Canada and what we have, and to recognize how strong we are as Canadians.
There will be celebrations again throughout the city. At Assiniboine Park, there will be music, face painting, and bouncy castles. And at Princess Auto Stadium, there will be music and fireworks. Here at the Forks, they're asking people to not drive, but to walk or use a bike, as the streets will be busy, and they're expecting thousands of people at the Forks tomorrow. Riley?
Thanks, Felicia. The CBC's Felicia Adam at the Forks. And a reminder, you can watch CBC's Canada Day special tomorrow on CBC News Network and our streaming platforms here on CBC Television as well. There'll be a full day of coverage, and it starts bright and early at 6 a.m. Eastern, 5 Central, and concludes with an evening concert featuring some of Canada's best-known performers. We'll also have a CBC Manitoba crew set up there at the Forks. Let's get back to Darius now. And Darius, a lot of folks hoping for good weather.
Well, as you know, Riley, Canada Day is coming up tomorrow, and our highs today are pretty well indicative of what we're going to see again tomorrow. Temperatures climbing even more so in the more southern parts of the province for many folks, at least. Up in the north, temperatures do fall a bit briefly tomorrow, but then they start to climb once again as we head into the next few days. Looking like this will be a bit of a prolonged hot stretch, but temperatures, there's a time on the horizon when those temperatures will be coming down towards the end of the week. At least that's what it looks like right now. Could change, but it seems likely. If we take a look at our precipitation, again, we looked at this briefly earlier, but I just wanted to highlight mostly seeing those showers, thunder showers moving through the north as we get into tomorrow. And if we look at our precipitation totals, you'll notice that up in the north, some areas, mostly isolated spots, getting those higher precipitation totals up to 25 millimeters here. Some places seeing maybe 30, 35 millimeters of precipitation. Down in the south, though, very little rain. Some places getting trace amounts. Maybe some of these areas at the bottom getting 5 to 10 millimeters in the corners of the province. there is a chance that some of that precipitation and thunderstorms come to areas like Winnipeg. This particular model doesn't have that happening, but it is very much a possibility for much of the more southern regions in Manitoba. If we take a look at our wind forecast tomorrow, not too much to talk about here. I did want to highlight that there are going to be some strong wind gusts rolling through with those storms up in the northeastern corner of the province. But besides that, really not too much to talk about. Although that does also factor into the smoke that we're going to see, that upper elevation haze, as well as that surface smoke, something to be keeping an eye on as always. And we can see some of the fires that are kicking off most of that smoke that will be heading across the region. Again, a lot of it is that higher elevation, but especially for places like Churchill, we could see some of it making its way down to those more surface elevations as well. If we take a look here, you can see our dog walking forecast, my favorite part of the forecast, as you know, Riley. We've got Happy Canada Day from Cooper, and how could I not show this one today of all days? Thank you to Denise and Alan for sending in this photo. Cooper's so proud of his country. It's so great. As you can see, tomorrow is a beautiful day to walk your dog, especially for the beginning part of the day into the morning and through the early afternoon. But again, we do have that risk of thunderstorms that starts to come in as we get into the later afternoon and then carrying into the evening. Pretty low risk for Winnipeg, but for some other areas of southern Manitoba, a bit of a higher risk there as well. But again, look at those nice high temperatures. Should be a pretty great week in general.
For sure. Thanks, Darius. Well, it was a bittersweet day at a West End church, the Lutheran Church of the Cross in Arlington, holding its final service on Sunday. But there were also some smiles among worshippers. In this case, one ending is marking a new beginning for seniors. The CBC's Ian Fraze has the story.
The faithful singing together one last time in this historic building.
To me, it's like a funeral, you know, the death of the church.
Colleen Karlowski-Clark was pastor of Lutheran Church of the Cross a decade ago.
This was once a very vibrant and full congregation, and times change.
Gradually, the number of people sitting in the pews dwindled from hundreds every week to just 20 people.
We lost all our young people, and we don't have the volunteer base to keep it going.
So the church had an idea.
Maybe we should turn into housing.
In the 1970s, the church created a housing nonprofit, Arms of the Cross. Now that nonprofit is taking over the church.
All you hear in the news now, we need housing, we need housing.
Renovations will take a few years, but they plan to build at least 29 units inside the building. The homes will be for seniors, specifically those with low incomes.
What's happening here, I think, is like a really beautiful transition story for them, but it's also an emotional day.
And he said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you."
Jason Zinko understands that feeling. He grew up attending the church and on Sunday delivered the final sermon.
Is it saying goodbye to the church that formed me?
Now a Lutheran bishop for Manitoba and Northwestern Ontario, he says the congregation is forging a new legacy.
And I think that them deciding to give their building and give opportunities to another organization to do something with the building and to impact the community, I think that there's some really hopeful things with it.
A revitalization for a church that's walked with its community for over a century. Ian Fraze, CBC News, Winnipeg.
And yes, my Canada flag will be in my window.
Coming up after the break, what does Canada Day mean to you? We'll hear from some Manitobans answering that question for us. And of course, we'll have your 7-day forecast just ahead. Stay with us.
Well, Riley, we broke down our forecast for tomorrow. Again, beautiful start to the day. Some thunderstorms possible in the late afternoon and evening, though. And if we look ahead to the rest of the week, we continue to see those sunny skies once we get through tomorrow. Convective showers, thunder showers do continue to be possible at times throughout the week, but generally we're seeing those temperatures climb into the end of the week, staying into the 30s through Friday. Temperatures start to moderate a little bit as we get into the weekend, as well as getting a chance of those showers once again. But generally speaking, we've got a hot, sunny week ahead with temperatures only just starting to moderate as we get into the weekend. Still in the mid to high 20s, though. And don't be too surprised if those showers that are in the forecast for the weekend don't pan out, don't be anything too significant. But, you know, a little bit of precipitation can't hurt.
Thank you so much, Darius. Well, this Canada Day has special meaning for many of us. It is the first since Donald Trump's tariffs ignited a fury of pro-Canada sentiment in our country. The CBC's Chloe Friesen asked people at the Forks what Canada Day means to them, and that is our Daily Lift.
My name's Brenda Kruger, and I'm from Winnipeg. Brenda, where do you feel most Canadian? Anywhere in Canada, really. I love traveling the whole country. My favorite places all the way from BC, but a lot in Newfoundland.
I'm Lloyd Janssens. I'm from Narrow, Manitoba.
And Lloyd, where do you feel most Canadian?
Narrow, Manitoba.
What is it about that place?
Well, I lived there for 35 years and I really enjoy living there.
So I'm Christine, and I'm from Brandon, Manitoba, actually.
I'm Yara, and I'm also from Brandon.
Where do you feel most Canadian?
Oh. I guess back where I was raised, that's in the Swan River Valley, northwest of here. That's where all my family's immigrants were raised, so yeah. I would say yes.
Honestly, I love Manitoba.
What makes me proud to be Canadian? I asked you not to ask me hard questions. Oh, it's just a beautiful country.
And yes, my Canada flag will be in my window.
Happy Canada Day.
And that is our program for this Monday. Thank you so much for being with us. We won't be here tomorrow. Instead, you'll see some of our special Canada Day coverage here on CBC. We'll be back with you again on Wednesday. Have a great night.